at finishing things off with going from a Photoshop version of something, probably your poster, and putting that into InDesign. I want to just show you a couple of particularities about this, just so that we're clear with making sure we can get the best out of what we're doing. So what we want to do is let's have a version of our finished piece. So let's just go to save, and that's going to go on here, and it's just going to be from a previous version. That's going to be Wood 003. No, let's call it Wood Final. Yeah, it's a layered Photoshop document. That's fine. We can put that sort of thing into InDesign. Here's InDesign. I've already made a document in here with 2 pages, separate pages, not facing ones, just so that I can show you what I want to get at in this. And it's got its marks and bleed around the outside on it. We just want to place an image in there, which is the one that we've already made. I can cheat and I can go File and Place, and then I can just choose that image and I can drop it in like that. And I can put this where I need to. You can see that it's just a little bit too small to fit inside there, so I'm just going to resize it a bit with my direct selection tool inside the box that we're looking at there. So I can pull that just, there we go, that's there, and pull that a bit bigger, and there we go. So that's going up to the edges. Yeah. There's a problem that we've got though now, which is that some bits of this are going far too close to the edge here, and so we haven't got enough room basically in this finished document. So we've got the edge of the page, we've got the bleed area, and we've got this, it's going to crop. It would cut off the edge of the picture basically. So what I want to be able to do, and ideally this is a much better way of finishing things, is to construct the final version of your piece in InDesign. What we want to do is break this down into a few of its component parts back in Photoshop, and then piece it together inside InDesign. So let's just go back over to Photoshop and have a look at our layers over here and think about the best way of doing this. Ideally, what you'd want to have is, for this, in this instance, is the picture going right up to the edges of the page, so that there's no white border of the paper. And so we want this picture of the cat here to go to the edge, to the bleed areas. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to save this with a final name, but having no text and no grid. Yeah, so it's got no text or grid. Still a Photoshop layered document. So let's press save, and then let's go back into InDesign. Let's go down to our other page. So you saw me cheat in how I dropped that image in before. This is the proper way of doing it. Place. Right, so there's our picture, and let's just get it. Is that bigger? Come on. Let's pull that up to the edges. There we go. And that side. Right, so that's up to the edges, up to the bleed area now. Okay, so the next thing that we want to do is to think about putting the text on and things like that, and the background grid. But before I do that, I just want to quickly mention this little link here. So this is linking to the original file. This is the original file. If I go in here and switch this on and save it, it's linking to this file. We look back here, now that little chain's turned into a little warning triangle, and so that means that something's changed here. If I click on it, then it'll update and it will bring in the current version, which is not what I want it to look like. So let's just turn that back to that and save it again. We've got the warning, do that. There we go. Okay, so that's fixed that. But it's a good thing to bear that in mind. And this is linking to your original file. Oh yeah, another thing, it's linking to because it's linking to the original thing inside InDesign, it might be giving you a kind of a lower quality preview of the final image. In this instance, this is a low quality JPEG, so the quality isn't going to be all that, but you'll have much higher quality photographs that will have probably a lot less pixelation than this has there. All right, so the next thing that we want to do is bring in the grid layer, this one. And we're going to cheat a little bit, and we're going to take this grid into another piece of software, Illustrator, and then convert it into something, and then paste it into InDesign. So I know that in Illustrator rather, the thing that I want to do will only work if I do this little fiddle first. So I'm going to make a copy of this grid, and I'm going to turn it from white to black. So I've just copied that layer, and now I'm going to press Command and I, and it's inverted that layer. Yeah, so now it's black instead of white. And I'm going to copy that, so select the whole thing, copy it, go into Illustrator, and now this is just a plain blank artboard or page or whatever in Illustrator, and I'm going to paste that in. Okay, so it's pixelated because it's the original Photoshop one. But what I want to do in Illustrator is turn it into this vector drawing like we had with text and boxes in InDesign. And these are numeric coordinate made images. So this will be a bunch of dots joined up, filled in a particular colour. And it's easier. It's much easier to scale it up and down, and that's the same with text in your InDesign document as well. So that will fix the soft edges that we have on things here, where you can see it's pixelated the text. Can you see that there? And we'll get rid of this jagginess here. So here what we want to do is trace this. So anytime you put a photograph in or a bunch of pixels into Illustrator, you'll get this box being selected, and up at the top here you can see image trace. And so in here, if we just press it, maybe it'll work. It did work, but what it's done is it's given us a white background. So let's go and open the image trace window, which is here. And in here we've got various options that we can mess about with if we were bringing in a photograph and things like that, and it would be able to kind of scan the photograph and turn it into a bunch of blobby colours. We're fine with this because it's basically just a one colour image, black and white there, but we want to get rid of the white area because that was clear in our previous version, so we can click ignore white, and now we've just got this griddy kind of thing. We can't do anything to it, so we can't change the colour yet because obviously it's black instead of white. We want to press the expand button, and now this breaks all of this down into it being just a shape, and we can change the colour of it. So it's selected here, and if we just go and click on our colour box and change that to white, now we've got a white shape. So we can copy that and go and put that into our InDesign document now. And oh yeah, let's just make a new layer. So this is our cat layer. We'll padlock that because we don't want to mess it up. This can be our grid layer, and so that's the active layer there. It's highlighted. We can paste it in, and now it's dropped that onto that particular layer in InDesign, and you can see here it's a compound path, so it's made up of a load of stuff that already exists, and it doesn't rely on the Illustrator file either, so I don't need to worry about that anymore. I can forget about what I'm doing in Illustrator, and it's not going to break this because basically it's just converted it from the clipboard, the memory, and turned it into this path in InDesign. So there's that, and we can just check that it's getting out of the edges of everything, which it looks like it is. If I use the selection tool, I can make it a bit bigger if I want to. Come on. Why can't I make it a bit bigger? There we go. Let's just push that over there. Get that in the right sort of place with the cursor keys. Yep, that looks fine. Okay, so that's a very much scalable image now, the white lines. If I wanted to fix all of these little bits where it's slightly out, then I could go and do that in Illustrator, but that's a different session altogether. The next thing that we want to do is get the text sorted. So let's padlock that grid layer, I'll add another layer, and this is going to be the text, and we need to make a box. We can use the type tool if we want, and we can just click and drag over that area because that's where we want one text box to be. The other text box is going to be here, and we should be able to now type in here. Up at the top it said hyper dimensional. Okay, and that's in the wrong font. So if we go and get our window character box open here, we can see we can go and choose different fonts. I've got this micro grammar font, and I took it off the internet, and you're allowed to do that. That is fine. If you want to install a font on your computer, if it's a Mac or if it's the Macs on campus, it's pretty straightforward. Go and find a font that you like. I like this one. I've downloaded it. It's given me a little folder with a little README and this OTF file. And if I double click on it, it will come up with font book. It'll show me what the font looks like. I can press install font, and then it will add it to my list of user fonts. On your own machines, this will just work straight away, but I think if you're using the Macs on campus, what it will want you to do is log out and then log back in again, and then it will work. This we can drag down into the right position here. I'm using the cursor keys, pushing it around to get it right. I want to line it up. I could push it behind my grid layer like that if I wanted to, and I can change the colour of the font just by going up here and telling it to be whatever. Okay, can't really see white on that light background there, so let's turn that back to black. And let's lock the grid thing again. Okay, and so that's that bit. And then the next one was the big cat, space cat going in here. So we've got this text box, and it was space cat. Again, it's selected the wrong font. Let's go and find the right font. There we go. Right, so that's fine. If I want to do any of that fiddling about with the letter spacing and stuff like that, I can do that in here. Obviously, I don't want to at the moment, though. Let's just zoom in, get that out of the way. Oh yeah, one other thing that I can do is I can use this baseline shift here. So if I select all my text, I can move it down inside the box if I want to. For what we're doing, we don't really need to use that. We can just get by with moving the actual box around, and we can twist it around so that we can hopefully try and get it in the right, at the right angle. There we go. And if we want to put one above the grid and one behind the grid, think I do. I'm going to change the colour of that to white, so that one sits there, and I'm going to take the hyperdimensional bit and put that on another layer here that's going to go above grid. So let's pop that there. So that's in layer 4, so that can be text 1. That's text 2. And then let's put that up there. There we go. So we've got things above and below the writing. All right. Oh yeah. You can see that the grid has this red outline on it. That's because it is a vector shape, and you can see that this layer has a little red highlight to it on there. So different layers, obviously, you can see here we've got light blue, green, red, and then a deeper blue. They all have their own color coding. Like you can see the text one here has got this blue color code around it. Okay, so that's just an identification thing. When you look at the finished image, it's not going to look like that. So you don't need to worry about that. I'm just going to tweak that around a little. There we go. Okay, I have finished with that. So let's just save it. Final cat. So that's an InDesign document. And I want to have a look at it as a PDF now, so that we can perhaps see the difference between this version and that version. So File, Export. We'll go and choose Adobe PDF Print in here. So it's Final Cut PDF. Press Save. It's a high quality print in here, and it's been modified because we've changed little bits about it, which will be the marks and bleeds. And you can see here the image quality is set to maximum, so it will downsample images that are over 450, and it will put them down to 300 pixels per inch, which is fine. Marks and bleeds, yep, said that. The other stuff we're fine with. Press export, and then it will make and save that in your folder of stuff. So let's go and look at our folder of stuff. Here is the exported file. So this first version is the one that was just a placed JPEG Photoshop document from Photoshop, and you can see that we've got the pixelation of the white line. We can see the softness, the font smoothing of the text, and we can see that it's cropped that edge off there. And if we scroll down to our new version that we made, we've placed things right so they don't get cropped off. Yeah. And the grid looks fine as well. We can zoom in on it and you can see that it's sharp all the time. Both bits of text are. So there you go.